Hello, podcast community. It has been a minute since I've recorded one. This is Three Questions Podcast. My name is Cam King. This is episode number 32. Three questions that we're going to go over today. These are good ones. I appreciate everyone that has submitted anonymously these questions onto the podcast. The three questions for today in episode 32 is number one, should women feel empowered in today's world? Number two, why do women always leave relationships first? Number three, what are some not so subtle differences between a man and a woman in a relationship? These are very complicated questions. We'll hit them right after the break. Okay, cool. Welcome back. This is Three Questions Podcast. I just announced the three questions before the intro. I want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor up to episode number 50. That is Ads Sciences, a company out of Boston, ADSsciences.com, adsciences.com. Ad Sciences literally runs the best ROI campaigns for Facebook and Instagram. So if you are looking to leverage a product or a service or just get a message out about something, please go see my friend Howie at adsciences.com. You can reach Howie, that is HOWIE, at Appanite, APPANITE.com. That is Howie at Appanite.com. If you need help with that or question, just give me a shout out. I will help you. He works globally, does some amazing campaigns. I am beginning something that I'm working with him as well. So if you're listening to this and you are continuing to listen to Three Questions Podcast, you can go to ckcollective.co, find the podcast tab, and submit more questions. If you find this on Instagram or YouTube or Spotify, you can always email me, threequestionspodcast@gmail.com or info@ckcollective.co. Other than that, episode 32, you guys know the format by now. I am going to switch my recording process from Zoom onto something called Riverside when I get back. I have a work trip coming up, so I'm not going to be able to record. So you'll get a few of these today here in a row. But let's start with question number one. Okay. Question number one, should women feel empowered in today's world? I will preface this by saying I am not an expert on particularly men or women, and my views are pretty much as unbiased as they come. I'm going to give you some really cool things that I've learned and read, but I am pretty laissez-faire in terms of how I just conduct myself. I think everybody should have their own personal freedoms. Everyone should be able to choose what it is that they want to believe in. But I do believe that there is a fine line, especially throughout human history, when we look at how human beings tell other people what they need to do and or believe. And I have a hard time thinking that that's okay. Okay. So I'm going to preface that by saying that. But in terms of should women feel empowered in today's world, I think man, woman, transgender, non-binary, whatever one of the 63 genders that you identify with these days, honestly, you should feel empowered just by being a human being. I think being a human being is one of the coolest things. You have the freedom of choice. You have autonomy. You can think for yourself. You can analyze abstract ideas and literally create something out of nothing. And I think your ability to learn as a human being is number one, what should make you feel empowered. Your brain is the best computing processor on the planet. Okay. Even AI, all this stuff that we've developed to today's date, you should feel empowered to be a human being. Women, especially, I'm going to say it this way. I don't think that there has ever been a better time in the history of humankind to be a woman. I think women are now at the forefront of being able to do whatever it is that they want and choose. Obviously, they fought so many battles from women's suffrage in the hundreds, if not thousands of years of less than preferential treatment, not even close. Women have historically gone through a much more difficult time than men as a whole, if we compare the two. And I know that's a delicate conversation these days, but I really do think that women are in an exceptional position to succeed and excel today, especially when it comes to making money. However, the dynamics of what it means to be a human being means that one of the two, we'll say primary genders, are only able to reproduce offspring, right? So women have that potential baggage if they want a family, if they want kids, if their husband wants kids, Or if a boyfriend, girlfriend, woman, husband or wife want kids, you have to make a sort of sacrifice and choose between your career or your family. And that can be somewhat detrimental, right? Because if you're in your 20s or your 30s and you're crushing it, at what point can you really take a career and continue to be successful at a high level? Now, thousands of women do this every single day and excel at it and absolutely crush it. And that is awesome. It's so cool and good to see. There's a lot of issues going on with males and females, and oh God, I really don't want to get into this. Whoever submitted these questions anonymously, I know what you're doing. You're not going to knock me off my tuffet, but there are some very different conversations happening in the sports world that make it very difficult to sort of hone in on the benefits of being a man or a woman. As a whole, I do think women should feel empowered in today's world. You have the ability to make just as much money, if not more, than men. I think we have more female CEOs than ever before. I've worked with an abundance of highly creative, highly skilled females, and I think they should be touted for their work. And it's amazing to live in a time and a place in an era where we appear to be separate but equal. I always sort of see it as like a yin and yang type solution. I think women are really, really good at things, especially in relation to multitasking or just fine motor movement. And I think men are really good at some other things, right? Protecting and providing and other legacy type endeavors. So I think that while we are very, very different in how we go about things and the things that we can be good at, yes, there are equal opportunities across the board. And yes, I think that women should feel empowered without a doubt, undoubtedly, in today's world. I just hate, and I'm putting this as a caveat, I hate when I see and hear women try to tear men down. I don't understand that, right? If someone is part of that pro-feminist movement, if someone has other thoughts and they can educate me, I am all ears about this. But when I see other people trying to tear men down from being men, I get a little bit upset. And maybe that's something I can talk about in a future podcast. That's all I have for this question. That's 5 minutes. All right, jumping to question number 2 here. Why do women always leave relationships first? Yeah, I knew this would be a tough podcast. And here's my answer. Having been on the other side of this twice in a serious manner, right, where I've been broken up with, I think men have historically and genetically have something tied to us where we need to ride the plane in. We need to ride the ship down. We're going down with the ship. I think men are hardwired, and it comes from an essence to protect and provide continuously and selflessly. I think men do have this. I think every biological male has this within them, and it's part of our honor code. And there's a book called Understanding Women and Understanding Men and Celebrating the Differences Between Two by an author named Alison Armstrong. And I would highly, highly encourage you to read this book because she studied men and women for decades. And she comes to the conclusion that men have honor and they have a code and women do not, right? Women are loyal to their emotions. And I think if you can understand that men want to protect and provide selflessly for the service and protection and, providing for others, while women are typically loyal to their emotions, and then second come their kin, so their kids, okay? But they don't really have the same sort of honor and integrity that men have, okay? They don't have that sort of selflessness. I'm not saying that as a blanket statement. I know there's 1,000 shades of gray in between, but I'm saying for the most part, these are the things that she has studied and sort of brought to light. And I think that has a difference when women actually leave relationships first, because women go through a lot of different emotions more than men. I am going to say that as a blanket statement. And I think women process things a lot faster. They process potentials. They process how they're feeling. They check in with themselves. Women are so much better at self-care than men. And this allows them to sort of mature faster. Okay. Obviously, we know they go through puberty before, men do, before boys. And as women sort of mature and grow faster, I think their internal processing has to as well. One of the things that Alison Armstrong also talks about in these books is that women are constantly evaluating their environment for threats or perceived threats. And when they feel like there's too many perceived threats, that's when they sort of get spooked and leave. And I think that sort of cave woman aspect still sticks with a lot of people and a lot of human beings in today's world. And I think that is why women leave relationships first. I think they do all the grieving while they're still in the relationship. And then leaving the relationship is typically one of the last things that they do. So by the time that they leave it, they've already processed that grief. They've already thought about this 1,000 times. And so often men are like, wait, what the fuck? You're breaking up with me? And they don't see it coming. This happened to me. I was in a long-term relationship, and I don't want to say I didn't see it coming, but we were going through a rough patch, and I thought we were working through this. And I was almost out of my tunnel of just stress. And I was in a very, very stressful part of my life. I had a lot going on, and I was burnt out, suffering from adrenal fatigue, and I was just irritable and irritated all the time. I was miserable to be around. And I had not processed the fact that, my partner at the time leaving could be a potential. And I was pretty much blindsided by that. Retrospectively looking back later, I can see, hey, she probably processed that, thought about this, and took my words to heart when she wasn't feeling the love and decided to leave. I do think that women leave first, but I also, maybe around 50% of the time, I think that women leave as a test because they want to test their men. And whether or not you get back with an ex, or whether or not you get back with a partner that just broke up with you, I think oftentimes breakups can be a test for either party to see how you're going to react, to see if you're emotionally strong, to see if you can hold your composure. And I think that's not really something that's discussed widely. And I think more men need to realize that. I think more women also need to realize that. And maybe they're doing it because they know it or not, but this is something to think about. And I would like to see more people have a discussion about this, because I really do think that there is something there. Okay. But yes, women leave relationships mostly because their ability to perceive threats is far greater than men's. Okay. So they process the threat, and then they decide that, hey, this is no longer a safe environment for me. I don't see a future here. And then they grieve the end of the relationship, set up, whether it's a new person, or set up their exit plan or strategy. And then the last thing that they do is leave because they've already taken care of everything else. And then, the partner or the men are left to pick up the pieces. And that is absolutely essential for a man's growth. But that's another question, and I'm out of time. Question number three, what are some not so subtle differences between a man and a woman in a relationship? Well, I think I hit on those pretty good. Okay. Especially, and again, if you have other opinions and thoughts, I am so down to hear your thoughts. I love having these conversations. I talk with my girlfriend now a lot about this stuff, and we have some really good discussions about it. So please don't get upset. If you don't like what you're hearing, you can skip to the next one, or you can reach out to me, and I would love to hear your thoughts, because I'm always looking to grow and get educated here as well. Some not so subtle differences between a man and a woman in a relationship. I talked about these, and I really want to hang my hat on the fact that most men have an innate ability and wants and desire and need to protect and provide selflessly. Okay. We want to make a bunch of money. We want to take you out on a bunch of trips. We want to go have a bunch of really good times. And we want to do this for you with nothing in return. We want to do that for you because it feels good. Okay. And men, if you disagree with me, I don't know. I'll fight you on this. I truly believe that all men have this ability within them. Okay. We want to provide for the people that we care the most about, and we don't want anything in return. I think that is like a crux in order to be a man. Also, for men, I know this because I know this about myself, and I've read it in about 5 different books now. All men want at the end of the day is to be needed and appreciated. Okay. If a man feels needed, and if a man feels appreciated, he will continue being for you, right? Our love language as a whole, man, is acts of service, right? When our partners do something for us, if she's paying the electric bill, right, or she takes the car to the car wash, or she fills the gas tank up, or she picks the kids up from school, or she does the grocery shopping on her way home, that I'm getting the chills. Like that kind of stuff. Oh, amazing. So women, please pay attention if you're listening to this. Just do acts of service for a man. It doesn't always have to be bedroom related, but like just doing those little things, right? Doing the dishes or taking care of it. We notice that stuff, and that feels so good. As a whole, we just want to feel needed and appreciated. I also think, as I mentioned earlier, and maybe we can talk about this for a minute, but women deserve to be treated well. And I think a not so subtle difference is that it is the little things, guys. When we can do the little things, like write her little love notes, like spray some of her clothes with our perfume, or just buy flowers, or surprise them with gifts, or just take them out and mix up the routine, right? When we can continue to court women, women like to just be continuously courted. And not enough people in the dating world and relationship world sort of talk about this. But no, doesn't matter if you've been together for 6 months, 6 years, or 60, right? The courtship never really stops. And women, as far as I've seen, especially with partners and women that I've had these conversations with, they don't like to be bored. They don't like when guys are predictable. Every girl wants a funny guy. That's on every dating profile of all time for females. But I will say that women just want to be continuously courted and surprised. And I think it's so much easier than guys make it out to be. Guys are very routine based. We're very habit based. We like to do what we do. We like to do things at certain times, and we pretty much set it and forget it. But it takes a really sort of creative person to like have to break out of our stuff and surprise women. And I think that, guys, if you can focus on that aspect of your relationship, I think you're going to have a happy relationship for a very, very, very long time. Don't just take her out to eat once a week. Take her to new places, surprise her, show her that you're growing, right? Take her to a Broadway show, book a trip to, I don't know, Nigeria, go to Tanzania, just go and do different things for your women. And she wants you to make the decisions for the most part. Okay. I will say this because my partner, she likes to make a lot of decisions, and I step back and say, okay, this is your turn. But I think that women as a whole like when a man is decisive, likes when they do not know what he's thinking or what he's going to do. And they like when you stick to your boundaries, right? When you say, hey, this isn't okay, or hey, whatever. Do not sacrifice your laurels, your principles, your boundaries, your protocols, all your non-negotiables, all the things I talk about in my personal strategy sessions with clients. Do not sacrifice those things for the sake of anybody. And that goes for both men and women. Now, that's all I have. I'm out of time for that question number 3. This has been episode number 32 of 3 Questions Podcast. I do officially need new questions. So if you're listening to this, please send them in, email, Instagram. And if you want personal strategy and coaching sessions, you can go to ckcollective.co. I'm always keen to have new clients. I have 1 open spot available, I think. So check that out. Also, my CMO for Hire product, that is turning into an annual subscription. I'm going to change the price, but if you want to leverage your company and your company's success over the span of a year, please go to CMO for Hire on ckcollective.co. I also just launched a new store. It's called Artemaya. Okay, so if you're looking for wall prints, for canvas prints, for poster prints, frame prints, and awesome clothing, you can go to artemaya.com. That is art IMAIAH. Artemaya.com. Go check it out. I'll put that in the link description, and go follow it on Instagram as well. But I appreciate you guys as always. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.